Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Solstice, and I am going to show you something I was working on to help a friend figure out how to make a redstone based vending machine in Minecraft. Now, this is mostly tried to come up with it on my own, but some of these, like this idea, I picked up from guys like Doc M and Etho. And as for this part, I just sort of figured out the filter system on my own. Like the pick it up from the stream, I picked up from Doc M, and as for actually trying to come up with, work on a filter design, this is what I came up with, and that's basically that's what I came up with. It's pretty simple, but I wish I could have gotten these a little closer to one another. Like if torches didn't power the block right above them, this I could have made it work, that's for sure. But they do, and gotta live with that. Okay, so how this works. This is the first part of how a vending machine would work. Ideally, if you want it to be like a really advanced good one. This is an item filter, item sorter. Now, how it goes is like certain items, you want certain items, right? You send them into the system and they basically get washed down here on top of ice, which makes them go packed ice, which makes them go really fast with the water flow. Then there's a sign here to keep that water from going one more over and connecting with this one. And then you'll find it stopping right at the edge of the chest, which will also be hovering over just barely this side of blocks, to the point where if they go over a hopper that's say empty or something or can't accept that item, they will go into that hopper for sure, unless that hopper is wicked full, in which case you've probably done too much spending. Yeah. Anyway, that's the first part of how this bit here works. Now here's the second part, then the more important parts, the actual filter itself. Okay, so here's the main bulk of it right here. This is the locked hopper, basically. It is set up to where it will not accept items into it unless it's unpowered. And this is a standing up hopper, by the way. That's very important to the situation. And then here we have a hopper pointed to the side. Now you've probably noticed this here. This is to give off a certain signal strength based on the amount of items in a hopper, or more accurately to say, the fullness of a hopper. So, here we see that each and every single slot is full, has at least one of the item in it, but this one has 18. Okay, what else is going on here? We have 2 redstone wire, a torch, 2 more redstone wire, and a repeater. Or, not a repeater, a comparator. They're so similar, so even I mix them up sometimes, guys. But anyway. So we see we have a signal strength output of 1 redstone dust here. So ideally, how this will work is if this gets any more of this item in it, any more stone in this one particularly, this will get a signal strength of 2, which will in turn like invert the power of this torch and turn this line off, and that'll turn the lock off the top of this hopper off, so it can accept items into it. And then any excess items beyond this number in the first slot will basically go down. Like, just to prove it's working, any items that actually go down will be detected through this comparator, sent down and sent to this standard piston, which will push a block permanently. And now I have this little setup here just to send items into the system and, you know, do a little more demonstration. As you can see, that just turned on. And we actually got a few items in there. Now, there were some items in there before, but those don't just travel up a hopper and set this off. And hoppers don't detect through a block to a chest right here, neither. So, it was definitely this hopper here setting it off. And this block is moved permanently. As you may remember, it was right here with this piston before, but now it's not. And the only downside to this design for a filter is you need each item specifically, which means you can't have multicolored wool for one filter section. Like, say I want another kind of wool in this. White's down there. Now we have orange here. We could do purple, lime, green, red, whatever. Yeah, that's basically the bulk of this part of this. And it's about as simplistic as it's gonna get. Actually, let's leave those in there for reference. Now, the second thing I've thought about when it came to the idea of making a vending machine. Each item that ever goes into the system is going to have its own particular sense of worth. Its own values, to say. Now, this is the most complete form of this. And basically, I was thinking it would be based on the... It would take certain kinds of means to measure it. And to actually measure it, you're either going to need a whole bunch of something setting off, or you're going to need something just straight up being measured from what it is through each little checkpoint of what it's basically worth to the amount of items in it. So say it's something expensive, like say diamonds. Like, the longer diamonds are like passing through this, the more of like, say these swords are like going into the system and making stronger and a really quick, really fast, stronger redstone like strength. In which case you have a little more this. Well, this is like the release system for like sending all this back out here and canceling out the memory system idea I had for how much the items are worth. But yeah, these would be like the outputs of determining how much is inside of that in worth, and that's actually like everything right here. This is to determine your payment on items, how much you really have to work with. And like each of those will have their own like separate lines like going into some of these bits here. And with each one that goes in, we'll basically set off an item to go in here and set this off to determine more of the overall total. This is basically an interpretation system for that to translate to this, which is basically the last step of like figuring out payment. With this here, we can tell how much we have in total, which is the most important part. Because if we don't know how much we have total, we can't really figure out how much the spending system should work. Like, basically how it's supposed to work is with each of these little like branch offs affected by changes in the redstone power or strength will basically go into one of these, and this will only be set off one time per thing. And that will determine this. And then you could have, say, comparators or repeaters from each of these, and if you're like met at the right signal strength requirements for it, for say like up to here, you could get the most expensive item with the payment selections. Like once that's like set up, like the payment system, and like just pressing a button to say pay for something, and yeah, we'll say like something should be removed from here, but depending on the selection will determine how much is to be removed from the determined total. And that's kind of why this second bit's a dropper instead of a hopper, so that it can be going in one way, and when you make payments, it'll like be triggered from another way to go back into here and cancel out how much estimated payments there is. Without a doubt, this system has some of flaws, but it's not too bad for my first time really trying to come up with something of this sort. It's definitely one of the bulkier things I've ever tried to come up with. That much is guaranteed. Like in my test redstone world, I know I've likely shown an automatic, sort of like a vending machine design already, which has like a payment issue flaw. And I've also shown a unmanned store design. It's sort of like the vending machine idea, but And it's a little more tileable of a design and a little more compact, but it's not exactly payment smart to say, so that is a technical issue, and it's not very exact with the amount of items that leave it at a time. So that is one thing about it that is actually a downside to that compared to this. And yeah, that's the crazier logic side of making something like this work. Like the selection bits for items you want to get actually shouldn't be too bad. It really shouldn't be. Like, I've done enough of these sort of things to know it wouldn't be that bad. In fact, I think I will go to that world real quick and show you. Let's see. Redstone. Haven't been in this world in over a month. Mostly because most of the redstone I've been showing, I either wanted to like figure it out and like demonstrate it without all this craziness in my background. But okay, here is my most recent vending machine. My earlier design for a vending machine. Now, it doesn't look as big and as crazy as my other one, but when you come back here, you're gonna think it's kind of unorganized looking, and let me tell you, it's not the best in function either. When it comes to the selection bit here, like when items come out, by this I mean sometimes right here or there, something like another item will come out because you're getting this bud effect with the drop with the. Did I use dispensers or droppers? I forget actually. I used droppers. Okay. Oh right, I think I've also shoved. Didn't I shove arrows in there or something? So I decided droppers. Maybe I just wanted to say that. Yeah. And this is basically the payment system. This is the selection system. Like, we have columns here, and we have rows. Now, considerably, this is actually quite compact for a column row system. Like, you just have left, right, up, down, middle. And it will actually have wire that goes to that specific zone. Which is actually pretty good redstoning, if I do say so myself. Or at least mostly pretty good. The only, like I said, the only issue is that bud part, which, looking back at it, I probably should have just used some slabs in this. That would actually fix this. Yet this doesn't really have like a very special payment system of like detecting more specific items and determining their value. That's actually why this is so simple. Or at least for the payment bit there. And it'll basically just take in all kinds of random gubbins and as you can see, I just sort of tossed things in here. Yeah, random gubbins. That's a great way to put what goes in there. This is probably gonna make me lag a bit, but I have the will to get there. Now, as much as one might want to call this a vending machine, I would not. It's more like an unmanned shop. Shut up, Skype. Like, it tells when there's an item out of stock. I guess that's kind of like a vending machine, but you don't see the items just like flying out at you that you want to purchase. Like, this is actually where you receive the items, and this is where you pay. And you can see, I don't have an item sorter here either. I don't really have like a special price worth determining a system. Although what I do have is this design, which was to basically detect an item in here and slow this one down. Then when the item here is left, an item from here may pass through and will slow down the next item, and this will help determine the amount of items going into the system versus the amount of items trying to leave the system. One downside to this design, though, is that any item going in is not going to go out without manual assistance. So say you overpay. Someone will have to actually come back here and get your item back. Hey, isn't there items in here? I could have sworn there was. I think my Minecraft is glitching. But yeah, that's... Or wait, maybe that was the other one. I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out when I look back in this video, but... That's basically all I have to talk about for this. Thank you so much for watching. I am 41 Solstice 25, aka Solstice, aka... I'm kidding, I'm not going to continue the rest of that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye-bye.